Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And something of a special send-off for the Ozicar Championship on SimSpeed. It's a throwback season in the Formula Skip Barber, and it has been awesome so far. We head into round 4 at Sonoma Raceway, a beautifully reworked racetrack. It's looking spectacular. It's somehow even less dry than it once was, and we have awesome racing ahead of us. It's a sprint round, 3 15-minute races here at reworked Sonoma for the Ozicar Formula Skip Barbers, all live here on SimSpeed TV. Great to have you with us as we head to Sonoma. West Coast, best coast, some would say. It's just north of the Bay Area and San Francisco in Northern California. In a very famous wine growing region as well. You can catch the Sonoma Wine Train, which is a day excursion train, makes multiple stops at many different places where you can get some wine. But you can also, in the region, head over to Sonoma Raceway, opened in 1968. The configuration we're going to be on today, and there are multiple configurations, is about 4 kilometers long. There's an even shorter version commonly used by NASCAR. Champ Car came here multiple years and used some frankly baffling combinations, including what I think is turn 9A there. And the pit lane is very interesting with a long run around the outside of the final corner and then a kink in the middle of it. But with 3 15-minute sprint races, you'd hope to not need the pit lane. There's even a dragway in the middle there as well. Characteristic is the just ever so subtly tightening uphill opening sector of the lap before you get into turn 2. Multiple blind corners like at turn 3 as you sort of leap over the hill. It's built into the side of the mountain. This is our 3 8-lap races ahead of us. A top 6 invert from race 1 into race 2 before we then just go straight from race 2 into race 3. Checkered flag on qualifying right now is about to set our grid. And the move to the Formula Skip Barber for this season has brought a couple of Skip Barber enthusiasts out of the woodwork, including Adam Miles from the UK, and he has been one of the drivers, an absolute force and one to try to stop. He's on pole for race 1 at least. Neil Gardner has qualified second, Adrian Dukes in third, Cam Dance is in fourth from Luke Cincotta and Tim Harris. Then there's Jamie Stovall, Sean Doyle, Daniel Stevens and Gavin Barber. Brody Shepherd has qualified 11th, Jeremy Bush in 12th. Just one flying lap in qualifying. Some have been very cautious, and it gives you the field spread that you see based on these numbers. Mark Paneras in 13th, Warren Henry in 14th, Craig Tilson 15th, Elliot D in 16th, 17th, and David Bowman 18th. Ira Felberg's the last driver with a qualifying time in 19th. Just one qualifying lap does make it difficult to set a clean one. Tom Freer, Trevor Hearn, Peter Wilkinson, and Mark Bowman have no qualifying time. Drivers from about 15th or 16th back on the grid are around that little kink there, alongside an updated dragway here. Everyone's all on the grid. They're all ready to go. 8 laps of the first heat at Sonoma Raceway. Your pole sitter looks to be mostly on the gripped side of the racetrack. Tall first gear of 5 speeds in this sequential gearbox. Heading up the hill goes Adam Miles in the lead of the race. Neil Gardner all over him though. Cam Dance looking to make some spots down the inside early as well, and he might just get one as there's a wiggle at the apex. So Dance up into third, first and second still as they ran. Side by side now heading up the hill. You can't see where the right-hander is and where the exit is until you're already flying over it at that hill. Downhill braking zone for a long, tight right. Cam Dance is going to get a fight back from Adrian Duke, who's now back into third. On board with Shepherd in 10th. It's like a carousel, almost never-ending long left-hander down the hill, and the tyre temperature is not there yet on a very cool track. Beautiful, beautiful morning in Sonoma. Adam Miles leading from Gardner. Tiny bit of wind. Now another overtaking opportunity. Big braking zone at the hairpin. Cincotta has a little bit of a look. That defending from Jamie Stovald. A long line and run around the outside can work. Next couple of corners are flat out. For into the right-hander over the crest of the hill. A little bit of a slide can happen. So just here, big check up. Tom Freer, massively checked up, is going to go around. He's lost part of his nose cone. He's got a bit of damage on that car now. Bowman and Wilkinson go past. Problems for heaps of drivers. Now entering the final section. Brady Shepherd, John Snell are off the road. Cincotta was also losing some spots there by the appearances of things. Adam Miles leads after the first lap with Neil Gardner in second. A gap opens up to Adrian Duke, and then it was around 4th, 5th, 6th that some of that drama just happened. So that's opened up a gap to Jamie Stovald, Sean Doyle, and Tim Harris. Gardner versus Miles heading down the hill. Peter Wilkinson's off the road. Just behind him is recovering Brody Shepherd. So this is what happened. Oh, rear let's go for Cincotta by the looks of things, and I think Shepherd's also had the same problem. A few other drivers had to avoid, and that's where some of them got some damage. Top 2 breakaway, Miles and Gardner. Despite that big gap in qualifying, Gardner's staying close to Adam Miles. Duke and Dance on that opening lap did that. They duked and they danced. Now Jamie Stovall, Sean Doyle and Tim Harris have gotten close to make this a bit of a battle. On board with Tim Harris, there's his pit entry to the left. He's going to use some of the pit entry just to extend the run into this final hairpin. Concrete barrier on the inside now on the newest version of the racetrack. Stovall's trying to get alongside Dance. Maybe look around the outside of these left-handers for the inside at the top of the hill. Doesn't work. Highest point on the racetrack right here. And then it's downhill through the next sort of 3 corners. A bit more curbing than there used to be at Sonoma through the right-hander. Flat out through the sweeping right, and then you're heading over the hill down into the left-hander, and some of those damaged cars have hit pit lane. We said you don't need to make a compulsory pit stop in these sprint races. If you've got damage, you might need that pit lane, and unfortunately for Luke Cotter and Tom Freer, they do have damage and have had to take pit entry. The stats, 43 pit stalls. Pit speed limit 64 kilometers an hour. Seems to be the thing with all of the NASCAR circuits that have been updated, that they've gone to 64 kilometer an hour pit lane speed limits. At Watkins Glen, here, and some other tracks. See some of the drivers that are trying to come back through the field. Brody Shepherd's got himself another spot. Peter Wilkinson battling Elliot D. Wilkinson quite a bit quicker last lap, so I think he's made another position. Trevor Hearn is our most positions gained, up 9. And I think he's looking for one more into the final hairpin. Ooh, it got close back there with Felberg. Jeremy Bush. Yeah, oh, Jeremy Bush has gone around at the very, very final hairpin. There's like a bit of a street circuit there. So here's how it happens. He's going, oh, I'll also try to... Oh, no, he's just braked in too deep. I thought he was also going to try to opportunistically get down the inside, but he was nowhere near the inside. He braked way too deep. This is side-by-side for 4th and 5th place. Jamie Stovall's getting ahead of Cameron Dance, but it's going to be the long way around the outside of the carousel. Dance parks himself on the inside. Stovall out wide, then has Sean Doyle try to get down the inside. Tim Harris watches on from behind. First, second, and third are getting away, but this battle for 4th is oh so entertaining because Jamie Stovall believes he's still in with a chance. Tight hairpin. He's got the inside here, but there's all this extra paved runoff around the outside that I think Dance just uses to open up and carry momentum. Side by side's difficult through this roller coaster kind of section here. Left, then you need to place your car for the right-hander. You go over the crest of the hill there again as well. The car out wide, then you've got to stay tight to the left-hand side. Give yourself all of the space into the right-hander. Dance goes a tiny bit wide. Stovall was maybe a little bit conservative. Sean Doyle now looks down the inside on Dance. Lock up from Stovall. So not a whole heap of grip there in the braking zone by the looks of things. But it looks good for Stovall because now Dance and Doyle are going to compromise each other's lines into the opening of the next lap. Past the halfway point of this first race. Adam Miles starts lap 5. Neil Gardner sets a new fastest lap of the race. It's quiet on the battlefront in 3rd for Adrian Duke because this is where the trench warfare is happening. An assault from Jamie Stovall. Tim Harris holding place. So what's the best line into the carousel? The inside looks like you gain a lot with the shorter run, but then Stovall going around the outside had a really good exit. So now Dance is around the outside, battling with Doyle, who's on that tight line on the inside. There's banners there, and I used to sort of, pick one of them as a braking marker. Dance might have done well to pick a braking marker a little earlier. He's way well wide. But just remains ahead of Sean Doyle. Other battles elsewhere through the pack, because of course there always is. That's what's kept people coming back to Ozicar for so many seasons in a row. Mark Bowman battling Craig Tilson. Peter Wilkinson battling David Bowman. Miles and Gardner. Yeah, just 0.2 of a second. So if Neil Gardner's saving a little bit of a something, he can bring it late on in this race. And then remembering that from race 1 into race 2, we have a top 6 invert. So at the moment, Doyle's got that. Tim Harris is outside of that. That's partly what this battle is all about. Carousel again, a question of the lines. Stovall starts wide, comes back to a late apex. If you're not battling with someone, I think that's how you want to do it. But if someone wants to get to the inside of you, or you've got to be careful of where the other drivers are placed, then you can't always take that optimal line. And that's that battling that's not let this group catch Adrian Duke, or indeed catch the leaders. They can still see Duke a little bit up the road, a couple seconds, and struggling to catch him with only a couple laps left to go in race 1 of 3. First and second together. Adam Miles just maybe having some problems with his connection there. He has always remained in that race lead. This right-hander, so fast. They get so much slide angle with the kind of tyres that these have got. Basically like taking tyres off a Toyota Corolla and putting them on. Or maybe taking them off a Dodge Neon and putting them on. They are not like a Hankook Racing Slick or a Pirelli or anything. They make so much grip when you slide them, but then they generate heat when you slide them like that. And the pace on this cold racetrack is picking up because Gardner gets another fastest lap of the race. Stovall, middle of the road, is going to try to see Dance and Doyle battle each other, and that's the way in a three-way fight he can hold that lead, because if he tries to make them play it off against each other behind, it's going to be tough to make that happen when it comes into the final lap of the race, and Doyle is holding onto a spot that will give him reverse grid pole for race 2. So think of on the final lap if Doyle might then need to look in his mirrors at Tim Harris. Double element rear wing. Does not do a whole lot for these Formula Skip Barbers, but you'll notice it if you lose it, I reckon. Dance looking for a line to get close if he can. Double apex almost of a hairpin. And if you can position the car for the final apex, then you're flat out until just about needing to breathe the throttle here in the left-hander to position the car correctly for the right-hander over the crest. Big slide angle from Harris in the background as well. Dance is now looking to pick some alternative lines versus Jamie Stovall. Half of an overlap. Can have a dive on the brakes into the final corner. As to begin the final lap, Adam Miles leads Neil Gardner. Stovall trying to defend that position while Gardner's trying to have a look for the race lead. He's alongside Adam Miles heading up the hill. A new fastest lap for him as well. Hasn't been able to take that race lead away. Dance has been able to take 4th for a moment from Stovall heading up the hill. Tim Harris still watching, waiting. Stovall drops wide, squeezes Sean Doyle out. It's him under pressure now from Tim Harris. Trevor Hearn and Mark Paneras have closed in on a battle. Elliot Dean, Jeremy Bush have closed together on a battle. There's so few drivers that aren't battling on the final lap of this first of 3 races from Sonoma. And this is the race lead. Gardner has stayed attached to the tow rope of Adam Miles the whole time, within 2 or 3 tenths of a second, just preserving something. Adam Miles is placed defensively on the inside, with Gardner looking around the outside. Stays wide of the first apex. He's going to try to bring it back tight to the second apex for good momentum. A similar thing will happen in the battle for 4th and 5th, where Dance leads them at the moment. Still not much happening in that 6th, 7th battle group. Miles is now really pushing. Tail of the car out in every place. Penultimate corner. You need a good exit. Track's a little bit anti-cambered there. He looks to the inside to defend the race lead from Neil Gardner, who sends around the outside. A puff of tyre smoke in the air, looking for a crossover under a slipstream on the way towards the checkered flag. Adam Miles from pole has just fended this off, takes the short run towards the checkered flag and wins race 1 from Neil Gardner. Adrian Duke on the podium, Cameron Dance in 4th, Sean Doyle sneaks ahead of Jamie Stovall, but Stovall will get the reverse grid pole with the inverted top 6. Tim Harris finishes 7th in the start. Race 2 from 7th. A few drivers that have some work to do in races 2 and 3. Luke Cincotta could have been in that top 6 on 17th at the moment, having had to go through pit lane. He's fought back for every spot he could get, just gets ahead of Peter Wilkinson on the final lap here by the looks of things. And Elliot D and David Bowman further back. John Snell's going to be the last driver on the lead lap. D and Bowman are going to have a drag race here, if you don't mind. I think Bowman's just going to run out of opportunity. 8 thrilling laps from Sonoma is just the perfect amount on this configuration. Adam Miles extending a championship lead from Neil Gardner and Adrian Duke on the podium. What a battle between Dance, Doyle, Stovalds and Tim Harris. And Daniel Stevens was a couple seconds behind them. Gavin Barber and Trevor Hearn completing the top 10. Your top 6 there get flipped for the grid for race 2. Mark Paneras, Warren Henry, David Bowman, Craig Tilson, Brody Shepard, Ira Felberg, Luke Cincotta, Peter Wilkinson, Jeremy Bush and David Bowman. And then D and Snell, the last cars on the lead lap. Tom Freer with the damage he took, retiring from race 1. Scott Rankin joins me as we head to the grid right now for race 2 with that top 6 invert. Jamie Stovall, he's got a really, really lovely place to work from for race 2.
Yeah, he will. Here comes the benefit of the reverse grid, though, and also the challenge. Sean Doyle will line up alongside Cam Dance from Adrian Duke, Neil Gardner, Miles to round out the 6 and the invert. And
behind that, it's as they finished race number 1. They're about to go quick fire for race number 2. Everyone grids quickly as well. It accelerates the countdown. And on pole, Stovall's going to look for the best start that he can get. First gear is so tall for these cars that they immediately bog down, can hardly spin the rear wheels on the getaway if you want to. So the let go of the clutch and the timing, so critical. And can, from 6th place, Adam Miles work his way forward to the front to try to complete a sweep. What about Neil Gardner, who was actually so strong in race 1, starting from 5th? Up towards the top of the hill, Jamie Stovall still leads as Doyle goes side by side with Dance.
And Neil Gardner got out and on the marbles up at the outside of turn 1. He's gone around, he's gone to the back of the field. That's him spinning in the background and getting that car straightened back out. So he's lost it all. But the real question is, where will they all shake out? Because there was contact for a couple cars in the middle of that one as well. Barber's gone through to 7th spot. At the moment, Miles is up to 5th and Stevens to 6th. They start to shuffle their way out as they fight for the race lead down the hill.
Doyle looks to the inside of the carousel, but they've done this battle before. Tyres are very cold now on the opening lap, but the exit around the outside to give you the inside into the next hairpin is where you want to be. Warren Henry has had a spin there on the cold tyres, and avoiding him is so difficult on the cold tyres. A couple of other drivers have looped around. Stovall through the far end hairpin. Sean Doyle goes around the outside there to stay side by side with Cameron Dance. 3 cars for the race lead. You can hardly cover them. And Neil Gardner, after a great 2nd place, has done that all by himself around the outside on cold tyres, I think.
Yeah, well, it's certainly been an issue when you go from hot, warm race tyres. And herein lies the challenge of sim racing. You come off the track fresh with warm tyres. You immediately get set up for another race on the colds. Another car goes around as they go through the sweeper as well. And this will be the incident that goes through the carousel. Yeah.
Might have got a tiny bit of a help from behind. Was it Brody Shepard maybe behind him?
Ooh.
Continues. This has been on the opening lap. Such a difficult corner there, at the penultimate corner. Race lead going through the 2-3 kinks past turn 1 and up to the top of the hill. Cameron Dance cuts from the left-hand side around to the right-hand corner to take the race lead off of Jamie Stovall. It's an unbroken line of 7 cars for the race lead now. Adam Miles has only worked his way up into 5th so far. That was at the expense of the spinning Neil Gardner. So he hasn't done a whole lot of work for himself yet. Maybe waiting to see how this shakes out in front.
Dan Stevens is actually going to run wide as they come down the hill as well. Down through turn 5, there's been more chaos as well as there's another car around in turn 5 again. and there's a couple of cars slow. Peter Wilkinson, who was fantastic company on a Bathurst trip of recent memory, unfortunately on the outside of turn 5 and stuck there with massive damage to the front end. This is a little bit higher up. Craig Tilson struggling. It looks like there's damage on board his skip Barber, as well as he'll slide down through the field.
So while Cameron Dance holds on to the race lead from Jamie Stovall, Sean Doyle's got to fend off Adrian Duke. So I think white and blue is Mark Panaris. And we've just seen that on cold tyres, everyone thinks I can go into this corner, but it's a little unbanked. He gets the grass, goes around, and as he rolls backwards, gets the wall. Someone else has done exactly the same thing behind him on the same lap as well. So 2 from 2 on that being a really challenging corner before you've got rear tyre temperature. Defensive line, a bit of contact there between 3rd and 4th. Doyle and Duke, part of the concertina effect as Dance hits the wall on the outside. He might have some suspension damage from that. Jamie Stovall looks to take the race lead. Sean Doyle next. Adam Miles still sits in 5th, but chaos at the final hairpin. Again in the wall. Dance has collected Doyle as well. He's cut the inside corner. He's whacked the wall and bounced out into Sean Doyle. Jamie Stovall leads now by a margin over Adam Miles, who sneaks through into 2nd, and there's big damage on some cars there.
Yeah, I think that's Doyle still crawling around and dropping. No, sorry, Doyle is still rolling, but
yeah, we're looking at Doyle.
Time. Yeah, and massive damage, unfortunately, for him. He set the fastest lap of the race. But that was going to be the last one by the look of things for him, as he will struggle to try and climb the hill with that.
Dennis had dirt in his eyes. He hits the wall twice in 2 corners. He just drives into the concrete on the left. He did it exiting the final corner. And then at turn 1, side by side with Sean Doyle, he just drives into the inside wall, pinballs out into Doyle, and there will be no extra ball for free. That's going to eat your money. So here he is. He hits the wall exiting the final corner, and then 2 corners later he does it again.
It turns in quite narrow, so this will be the replay.
Understeer, 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 bang.
The steering wheel is still straight, so it looks like there's no damage from that one. Unless...
Here,
yeah, he does. He just turns in early.
That's very rough for Sean Doyle, who did nothing wrong, and it all begins with Dance's mistake. Maybe he damages his suspension, that it's a little too eager to turn left than he thought, but it's from a mistake he made earlier, just powering into the understeer, hitting the wall and damaging his own suspension before that. So, well, we said no one should need the pit lane. 2nd race in a row, a couple of drivers are going to need it. Craig Tilson's been through to repair his damage. Peter Wilkinson, Mark Bowman, and now Sean Doyle. Adam Miles picks up the fastest lap of the race as he looks to maybe make it a 3 from 3 clean sweep at Sonoma, which is a difficult thing to do in these short sprint races with an invert race 2 grid.
Yeah, and he'll climb up and over the hill. These guys at the moment, but you're right, Miles has got pace as he sets the fastest lap of the race. Can he continue that charge on? And for Stovall, well, the draft is strong, but so is his pace as well, as he was only a 10th.5 slower on that most recent lap. It was actually reasonable pace from him, and the first couple laps have sort of allowed him to build that margin to that point. I can tell you, Miles has been quicker to the first couple of sectors by a 10th at the moment, so there is still margin that's being taken out. Duke is trying to go with these two, and he'll be hoping that they squabble with each other early, because that will bring him back into the equation. Dan Stevens is nearly in the toe hook range of Adrian Duke as well, and he's searching for a podium. That would be awesome for him from this round as well. With the S's, field's starting to get a little bit strung out compared to that first race, Dave, where there were battles aplenty. The field has gotten massively strung out in race number 2.
Well, it got a bit strung out in race 1 and then kind of came back together. It's how it always sort of works with these cars on a Grand Prix style circuit. I'm gonna shout out as well the drivers who had no qualifying time and started from the back of the grid at race 1, but that's going to be contact at the final hairpin. A lock up down the inside. Oh, you can't fit there, Tom Freer. Oh no. So where did that one all begin? I was going to say Tom Freer, Trevor Hearn, no qualifying time, started 20th and 21st on the grid for race 1, and then finished 10th and 6th at the end of race 1, and then were doing well for themselves here in race 2.
And Hearn's got damage from that contact by the way at the last corner as well. That'll be looked at post-race. But for the meantime, Miles has closed on Stovall, and that margin will continue to close 45.695. So the tyres certainly up to temperature and pressure at the moment. Adrian Duke was faster than Jamie Stovall on that most recent lap. That's the replay of what's going on there at the final corner.
Barber locking up, going down the inside. Here's Adam Miles, 1/10 of a second behind Jamie Stovall, looking for the inside into the hairpin and looking for the race lead now on lap 5. So that's how long it's taken him, 4.5 laps to get from 6th on the grid to the lead of the race. Jamie Stovall now has some decisions to make. Because if he goes with the leader, I think he can keep Adrian Duke behind, but Duke's been pretty quick these last 2 laps.
Something further that's happened in one of those middle to back of the pack squabbles as well. So there was another call for another incident to be looked at, but for the meantime, Miles hasn't just gotten to the lead, he's also just punched a little bit of a margin over Stovall as well. So Stovall might have wisely gone, I don't think I might be able to win a battle or 2, but I'm not going to win the war. And he's gone, you know what, a little bit of a tow and locking myself into P2, that might be the preferred way to go about this one. In the meantime, Stevens and Dance will go side by side on the run up the hill towards the kink and then turn 2. Dance down the inside. Stevens going to try to go the long way around and look for the crisscross and drive out, but Dance carries enough momentum to cover him off, so they will lock back in. Dance back to P4 and nice and stable at the moment. Brody Shepard and Luke Chinchotta in behind. They're exceptionally close as well for 6th place on the racetrack.
Crazy to me that Dance's car is still going.
I agree.
The way that it is. I mean, we saw that the front left suspension was damaged. He hit the wall and then another time. Freer and Hearn have still got their meatballs after their contact. Oh, well, that's getting worse for Freer.
Something else has happened.
A lot of smoke coming out.
Has he done that himself? I wonder whether or not that's a downshift that's not been allowed. Gavin Barber, by the way, has got a really, really off-looking rear wing, so he's got a troubling car. Yeah, that's all on his own from Tom Freer.
Yeah, and it's given up. So it's almost 2 races in a row.
I was about to say,
Haven't gone to plan for Freer.
About the only thing that the positive he can take from that is consistency. It's not the kind of consistency you want to take away from that one.
Brody Shepard's in 7th, ahead of Cincotta in 8th. Adam Miles with the new fastest lap of the race as he has broken the toe to Jamie Stovall. He needs to worry about Adrian Duke. Danson needs to worry about Daniel Stevens. Brody Shepard needs to worry about Luke Cincotta. Jeremy Bush needs to worry about Ira Felberg. Is this teammates?
Locked On versus Ozicar team of Bush from Locked On Lads and Felberg of the Ozicar team. And also a change of positions. So this was Felberg getting down the inside. Ira gets the job done. Sorry, my apologies.
Bush.
Yeah, it was. Bush down the inside, my apologies. It's a good move from Jeremy Bush. This is the battle still going on between Stevens and Cam Dance.
Tiny bit wide out the carousel from Dance. And Stevens just shows the nose down the inside. Would you guess maybe a 10 to 15 degree offset in the steering wheel for Cam Dance?
Yeah, it's not looking tidy, is it? For him at the moment. But how about this one between Brody Shepard and Cincotta? And then this is the problem that, yeah, it's just slightly not tracking straight. And then you've got to balance the rear end coming around on you as well.
Trevor Hearn already had a meatball flag. And then there's wheel-to-wheel contact. First apex there. couple of other cars are coming back to pit lane with their damage. So Mark Bowman, you could see driving down the lane. Sincotta battling with Brodie Shepherd. Shepherd's got his nose in front for the moment, beginning the final lap of race 2 with a third race still to come. Adam Miles is heading towards a clean sweep. Stovall and Duke will battle out for that second and third. Tim Harris and Neil Gardner beginning to catch that. So Stevens has had a problem. Lock up.
Next contact. And now up and over the crest. Sincotta is getting a touch closer, albeit with a couple of blinks in the middle of that one. Tim Harris is going to run out of time for these guys as well to get that touch closer. In the meantime, Adrian Druke is just trying to claw Jamie Stovall back. He's going to ask him to go down the inside. Oh, chaos as they come through the sweeper.
Shepherd and Sincotta both are going to get damage out of that, and even Tim Harris coming through made some contact there as well, but managed to stay on the racetrack side by side for that second and third place. The leader is long gone. They're not going to catch Adam Miles, but Duke is trying to get down the inside of Stovall, washes a tiny bit wide. This is contact on the way into the carousel. Sincotta into the back. Oh, nearly contact there as well. Jamie Stovall has to get out of the throttle. That causes him to lose the rear end and probably costs him a chance at attacking for that second place. Adam Miles is going to be first to the checkered flag, having raced through the field from 6th to the lead. He's looking for another Ozicar clean sweep. 66% complete. Adrian Duke and Jamie Stovall's behind him in second and third.
Yeah, what a race between those two as well. Fighting it out over the minor placings on the podium. Cam Dance gets home for P4. Daniel Simmons for P5. Snell and Bush are still going to keep going at each other as well. Snell's got the place for now. Jeremy Bush tries to close. They both get the wall off the final corner as well. Into the on-throttle understeer. And time's going to run out, unfortunately, for the locked-on lads car of Bush. It'll be Snell home in 11th spot as we head to the feature for tonight's race.
Last cars to get towards the checkered flag here, some that have been through the pit lane. Craig Tilson, Peter Wilkinson also to come around, and Sean Doyle. Just noticing where one of those photographers is standing in the infield. Stand one step further back from that concrete block is my advice.
Yeah, don't lean right up against the barriers, or the speeds might not quite be the same. The momentum of the race cars as well. The ferocity is certainly there from behind the wheel.
So on the left side of screen here, as Peter Wilkinson goes past, I think it's one of the other angles. Oh yeah, there. Look out, man. Particularly if Cam Dance is coming around.
That is my favourite hot take of after the weekend of supercars on the Gold Coast.
Race 2 done. This is the order. Adam Miles with 2 wins from 2 races so far. Good race from Adrian Duke there to get up into second, putting Jamie Stovall back down into third. Cameron Dance, despite driving into the wall twice and a bunch of damage on his car, gets 4th place. Had a Daniel Stevens who maybe had an opportunity but blew it and ended up a little wide, lost the slipstream. 5th place for him. Neil Gardner, after spinning early, came back through the field to 6th position. Tim Harris, another 7th, Mr. Consistency there, ahead of Brodie Shepherd, Gavin Barber, and Elliot D. More damaged cars in some other places in the field, but John Snell got 11th, Jeremy Bush got 12th, Ira Felberg got 13th, Warren Henry in 14th, Mark Paneris from an early spin to 15th, David Bowman in 16th, Trevor Hearn 17th, Tilson 18th, Peter Wilkinson 19th. Sean Doyle would have been the last car on the lead lap from what I remember in 20th position. And then 1 lap down, Sincotta, 3 laps down, Freer and Bowman. We head to a little break here at Sonoma, and race 3 is coming up, where we look to see if everyone can survive the penultimate corner on cold tyres and if Adam Miles can make a 3 from 3 Aussie car Formula Barber clean sweep.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It is feature time in Tulsa. Let's go green.
He's got the run, but is it enough? It's a drag race to the finish. Barber goes from third to first in the last quarter.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR calendar, such as the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. We have races from disciplines across the racing world, from the Indy 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events use iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against everyone taking part. As every race progresses, watch and feel the track change, with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline, or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
One final race for Ozicar Formula. Skip Barber here at beautiful Sonoma Raceway, and it is looking gorgeous. Things are looking good for Adam Miles. He's 2 wins from 2 races, but we've seen so much action-packed racing around this circuit so far today.
Yeah, that we have. And the aerial shots have this place painted in a lovely lush green color, which of course it is at times of the year. And then other times it's dusty, it's brown, the grass is all a bit dyed. It depends when you come to Sonoma, California, to witness this race in what is a real bowl of a racetrack as well, with the hillside that just gives such great vantage right across all the first sector. And then indeed down through the S's as well. About the only place you can't see is the start-finish straight if you're sitting up at those hills where the grandstands are. Everywhere else is just about visible. Of course, you've got that little sweeper down the middle as well. You kind of can't see down beyond the hill in the middle of the track, but other than that, fairly good vantage point to witness what is a rather picturesque circuit. You can see the weather changing as well as we're doing a tour around the outside of things. That means that we're getting set and ready for race 3.
We sure are. It's just a progressive grid from race 2 to race 3. So Adam Miles and Adrian Duke are front row from Jamie Stovall and Cam Dance, Daniel Stevens and Neil Gardner. Throughout the rest of the field, some of my drivers to watch, I'd say Brodie Shepherd starting from 8th, Jeremy Bush starting from 12th, perhaps Trevor Hearn starting from 17th, and of course, Sean Doyle starting from 20th, Tom Freer starting from 22nd. Where can they get to in 8 laps? And fingers crossed, everyone's learned which corners are difficult on cold tyres. We're going to get underway. Adam Miles on that pole position from Adrian Duke. Jamie Stovall appears to be missing from the grid in 3rd place. There's an empty spot, and it's a free position right away for Cam Dance as we head up towards turn 1.
And there's the run as we come through. And it's going to be Miles from Duke who leads us away into turn one. And I believe Stovald's actually going to start from pit lane. Cam Dancer's cutting his way through. There's been an issue of some description for Chincotta. There is Stovald as he emerges from pit lane. And there is a stricken car on the outside, the first couple of corners. And it's Luke Chincotta. Mark Bowman's been involved with something else as well.
Yeah, so Bowman and Chincotta with the mechanical black flag already. Warren Henry appears to be dropping back some positions as well. So maybe starting from the pit lane for Tom Freer is not the worst thing that's ever happened. He's +5 already. The concrete walls in this part of the racetrack are so close, and that's what's happened. Wheels interlocked. Sends Luke Chincotta over to the right-hand side of the racetrack where Mark Bowman can't avoid him. Adam Miles is leading us at the moment from Adrian Duke and Cameron Dance. Neil Gardner's made 2 spots. So he's gone ahead of Daniel Stevens, and he's gone ahead of Jamie Stovald, who started from the pit lane. So that's 2 spots early on for Gardner. It's the end of this series of S's that has me very interested in what'll happen.
Elliot D actually just ran really, really wide at the hairpin, and now he's going to run wide through the S's as the car's not got the grip at both axles on the cooler tyres. And it's this next kink, the fastest of the lot of them as he try and carry speed. I thought that was Gavin Barber, who just had a wild moment as he was out and wide. I can see brake lock smoke down and into the final corner as well. So everyone is struggling to come to grips with the cold tyres yet again. Have a look at the bombs that come through at the final corner. And Ira Felberg got pushed out and onto the marbles. There's no grip out there.
Well, Doyle started from 20th on the grid. He's 13th right now. And Jamie Stovald looks like he has a lot of damage on that car. Looks like he's got a technical problem. Did you see his wheel just snap? Here he goes. Well, that's not a technical problem. Maybe later on it is, but not there.
Just flicks back around, doesn't it? So he's still sat there. He is still sat there currently, by the way, so has not moved as yet. And I think he's now rolling right now. So it took him a fair while to correct that one. He's come back into the pit lane, so something's definitely going on there. For the driver who is scheduled to start out of 3rd place. Have a look at the battle in the middle of the field as well. Snell, Hearn, Elliot D, Sean Doyle, all involved in this one. And Tom Freer is actually going to snag onto the back end of this pack. This looks like fun.
Yeah, so Freer, Doyle and Hearn are making up a lot of positions as they go 4 wide on the way into the hairpin. A little bit of contact, almost inevitable, but it's level wheel to wheel. So I think we all move on with it. Jeremy Bush around the outside. That's a good exit to stay ahead of Trevor Hearn. John Snell's holding his position in the middle, but he's got Doyle behind him now. He's battling to try to go around the outside of him. Finds all sorts of marbles, but I think just keeps himself a car width there. So now into the left-hand side corner, he says, give me some space here, and then I'll try to commit around the outside. Dangerous place to be wide, though.
Trevor Hearn actually had a big old slide as they come through the sweeper as well. You're right, dangerous place to go wide, but the room was given to him by John Snell, so respect given there, respect earned, and Sean Doyle around the outside. Hearn is trying his utmost to go with Jeremy Bush just ahead of them. How good is Skip Barber racing? You know, was it 5 years ago I thought I saw the highlights of the Dover race for the Skip Barbers just a couple weeks ago? That looked brilliant. Yet again, throws all the way back to these cars from a much earlier season. And John Snell's just had a huge dive on Tom Freer, not being able to pull it up. Freer's going to steal a spot and come away with it. This is Hearn, Doyle and Jeremy Bush, and Hearn is going to bang wheels with Sean Doyle as they bounce their way up and over the curbs and up and over the crest as well, Dave.
Wing damage, a strike back from Trevor Hearn and the corn machine. Now entering the battle. Oh, there's not room. Doyle gets spun around. That was very willing. Tom Freer is coming through the field now. I don't think he did a whole lot wrong there. But between Hearn and Doyle, they both sort of lost their temper. There was contact, a squeeze, then the next corner there was a dive, and then they cost each other a lot of time. There wasn't room. Tom Freer ended the battle. He's now alongside John Snell. Oh, and it's locked.
2 of them locking up. I think it was Snell, and it was the car directly ahead of Snell, which I think might have been, was it D? There was 2 cars that locked their brakes as they went down and in there, and interlocked, and back to the pit lane, unfortunately. I think Panaris has snuck through and stolen all of the marbles from a lot of them as they went into the hairpin on that lap. So this is the overhead replay.
Doyle and Hearn. Okay, a little bit of a hit there. Another bit of a hit there. And then Trevor Hearn swaps to the inside, dives down. He's so wide, they're both slow. And then Doyle's sort of looking at where Trevor Hearn is as Tom Freer, who took a good racing line, ends up in the 3 wide alongside them as well. This is the other incident. So Freer gets ahead here, and then I think it's Snell that gets a run back at him. And as they both break into the corner, it's wheels interlocked.
Yep, they both just trip over each other. There was multiple lockups in that group as well. That was just awkward. Everyone's just slicing and dicing with the same bit of real estate. That's, 6 cars trying to cover not much ground on the racetrack.
Well, the Bay Area is a cutthroat real estate market.
That it is. Panaris has been the big winner out of all that. He sneaks through and snags himself 11th spot at the moment. And this is an onboard shot from Ira Fellberg as well on the rundown here. How about this? Look at all the bickering going on. He's too wide and nowhere to go.
Look at how much the extra camber the front tires get with the suspension geometry when you've got that much tight turning angle on. It's very interesting, a bit 888 Red Bull Racing type of thing. Gardner's ahead of Dance at the moment. Tim Harris is battling Brody Shepherd. They'll be next into the hairpin. Adam Miles has basically broken a second on Adrian Duke for that race lead, and there is Daniel Stevens. It's Gavin Barber, and there's the fastest lap of the race for Adam Miles. Brody Shepherd ahead of Tim Harris as well.
Shepherd was getting run down by Tim Harris in the reverse grid race as well. So this one's slowly over the course of the night been coming closer and closer and closer together. And it will play out for us in race number 3 of the evening now. We're past the halfway mark at the conclusion of the last lap of the final race of the evening. And Tim Harris will be thinking, I'd love to move myself just a little bit further forward. In the meantime, race leader Adam Miles has broken the toe to Adrian Duke, so he's got control on that one. Neil Gardner sits in 3rd. Cam Dance from Brody Shepherd and Tim Harris as we watch this battle are your top 6. Was that the Snackachangy logo I just saw on the side of Tim Harris's car?
I was literally just looking at that too, going, wait,
It's Wackachangy.
what's he got?
Snackachangy is...
I know. You can explain
brilliant.
it for our viewers?
Yeah, I do love the ads that they run through as well, which is why I'm always a big fan of the Snackachangy chips. Brand of chips only available locally in New Zealand. And at the moment, the run down to the final corner for Brody Shepherd will have Tim Harris to his inside. They're both going to lock brakes. Harris will lock rears. Fronts for Brody Shepherd. To the inside, Tim Harris gets the job done, but this has brought Daniel Stevens and Gavin Barber into the equation whilst they squabbled.
Will be 3 laps to go, and I can foresee 3 laps of battling here. Daniel Stevens closing in on this ahead of Gavin Barber. So Harris, Shepherd, Stevens and Barber. Stevens just gets a car length or so further back. So difficult to know if you're on a good line or not there, because from this height you can see how blind a bunch of the corners are as they sort of flow into each other. So that's Shepherd trying to take that start wide, come back late line, but it doesn't work very well if Daniel Stevens is halfway down the inside of you. Shepherd's is very lucky that he got given the room he did, because then he tries to take that as a run-up to attack Tim Harris, who offers him the outside line of the hairpin. And then they get dropped back single file, but a variety of different racing lines on show there as some of them come back to a late apex and then use all of that extra road from some of the other configurations as well.
Here we go, four-way dogfight for the last spot inside of the top 5. Brody Shepherd builds a little bit of momentum, starts to close in fractionally on Tim Harris. Harris will run it a little bit wider, but he's carried the momentum through the sweeper. Now Stevens is going to start to buy his way back into the equation. Big old send from Shepherd. Just barely managed to pull it up. I think there was a touch of contact with Tim Harris, but he is sending it deep into that final corner as Cam Dance goes ahead and sets the fastest lap of the race. Spicing up. 2 more laps left to run from the hills of California, and Sonoma has been phenomenal with the Skip Barbers here tonight.
There's gold in these hills. Cameron Dance obviously closing in on Neil Gardner for a podium spot. Adam Miles, Adrian Duke and Cameron Dance are the 3 drivers most in contention for this championship at the moment, so every point could begin to matter now with just a couple of rounds left. Warren Henry ahead of Bowman. There's 2 of them ahead of David Bowman. Mark Bowman's back in 21st. Oh, and Shepherd's round the outside of Daniel Stevens, who's not going to give him as much room generously this lap as he did a lap ago. Daniel Stevens. It's right back where he was.
Yep, around the outside yet again from Dan Stevens, still continuing to try and harass Shepherd into that mistake as they build for the run through the S's. Harris has started to eke out that little bit of margin. He looks safe and comfortable at the moment. It's going to take a big lap from the pair of these guys in behind. Stevens runs a touch wide as they carry through the S's. Gavin Barber's been shaken from the rear of this little trailing battle pack as well. Don't forget about Jeremy Bush, who's got Trevor Hearn, who's not left him away. Those 2 have continued their battle right throughout the closing stages of this one as our leader takes the white flag for the final race from Sonoma.
Yeah, still pretty close across that top 4 there as Cameron Dance sets a new fastest lap of the race with the slipstream closing in behind Neil Gardner. Adrian Duke was 2 seconds behind the race lead, looks relatively safe in 2nd place. Tim Harris just bought a little bit of reprieve from Brody Shepherd, who was trying to attack him, dive bomb him where possible. Stevens not able to make that move as Gavin Barber's dropped further back. Biggest mover in the race will still be Trevor Hearn by the looks of things, as he's behind Jeremy Bush. Hearn's come from 17th to 10th, and it could be +8 by the end of this lap, depending on how things go. Oh, no! Because he's into him.
He's trying to be aggressive, and that's unfortunately not gone well. It's ripped tyres off, unfortunately, for Trevor Hearn. And that will end his night within sight of the checkered flag, unfortunately. In the meantime, though, this is indeed for the podium, Dave.
Gardner seems to have held off Dance, despite the speed that Cam Dance has then put on in the back half of this race. They've been just a little bit catching Adrian Duke, but then they begin to battle each other on this final lap.
They come down through the S's for the final time, through the fastest corner on the racetrack. At turn 14, final run to the sweeper. Look at the slide that they're getting on board. Miles has got it comfortably as he'll come through the final corner. And 71 of Neil Gardner's just going to get there, although he makes a mistake and he does open the door at the final corner, but we drive to the line he's looking for. Miles gets it done, and here's the battle for 3rd.
Gardner gets that 3rd. Tim Harris leading this next group in 6th. What other spots could change hands on the final lap? Well, probably not Elliot D and John Snell. Wilkinson, Tilson, Ira, Felberg and Henry. Oh, teammates always got to look out, and I think that's Henry getting to the inside of Felberg. Look how ferocious the marbles are there. Once you're that wide, you are not finding a whole lot of grip, so Henry makes a late pass and he can then discuss it post-race drinks.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Sean Doyle, he'll be one of the last cars across the start-finish line with Luke Cincotta and Mark Bowman as well. So they are still finishing this one off, but confirmation of the final results. Adam Miles from Adrian Duke, Neil Gardner, Cam Danson, Tim Harris inside the 5. Brody Shepherd from Dan Stevens, Gavin Barber, Jeremy Bush and Mark Paneris round out the 10.
Elliot D in 11th from John Snell, Peter Wilkinson, Craig Tilson, Warren Henry with the last lap, last corner pass on Ira Felberg, Trevor Hearn in 17th. I think he'll get put to the end of the lead lap. I think he's actually going to be 21st because David Bowman, Sean Doyle and Luke Cincotta took the checkered flag on the final lap while Trevor Hearn towed. Let's see if that's correct. It is. And Mark Bowman in 20th ahead of Trevor Hearn in 21st. It says a lap down, but really it's last car on the lead lap. And then Tom Freer and Jamie Stovall, the Synergy Sim Racing teammates, having a really tough race 3. Both of them were retirements. Rankin, let's head to chat with some folks.
Yeah, that I'll agree with for sure. That racing was actually brilliant. It's worthwhile talking about. We might start off with tonight's winner in Adam Miles and have a chat to 3 from 3 tonight, Adam Miles, including the reverse grid race as well. But I think the big thing is that pace was strong, but driving your way back through the field, I reckon race 2 probably is the one that was the highlight of the night for you.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be the banana skin of the 3 race if there was going to be one. And yeah, the incident which happened in turn 1 with the wall and Sean Doyle sort of made my job a little bit easier. But yeah, no, the pace was good, qualifying was good. It's one of my favourite tracks, so I'm glad I managed to go 3 for 3.
In terms of things, championships obviously starting to head your way, but I think the big thing about the Skip Barber is it's just all about getting out there, having a whole host of fun and, you know, surviving the cold tire lap, because that thing is just dicey and on edge, particularly, like you said, a track that you love. And it's a track that's probably not all that great to most sports car racing, but the Skip Barber, it puts on a show around here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you see, you know, experienced drivers like Neil dropping it in would have been turn 2 or turn 3 on the second race, you know that the cold tires can bite you because he's as experienced as they come. So yeah, managed to keep it pointing the right way. I think in race 1 and 3 kind of built a gap, I guess, over P3 in both races, I think, and just managed to check out. I think I figured I might have some blinking issues. I don't know if that showed up on the broadcast, but Neil told me at the end of the second race there was something, so I did a sneaky reboot. I don't know if it helped, but yeah, I guess when you check out at the front, it doesn't matter too much if you're blinking.
Mate, in terms of the championship, obviously Sonoma's been so fun, but just celebrating and enjoying this car and this series as well in 2025. This is really what racing's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, of course. It's my main car, but I mean, I think when you compare it to other sort of lower class formula cars, it just gives the best racing. It's a narrow car. It can be driven 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide at some tracks. So, I mean, if you want to learn racing, there's no better car to do it in than the Skip Barber.
Right, finally, floor is all yours to give the thank yous and shout outs that you'd like to give for tonight's racing here from Ozicar at Sonoma.
Thank you to everyone in the booth. I'm sure I'll be watching the broadcast back later. Thank you to my partner who's sort of tolerates my sim racing and is always supporting me. That's Hannah. And yeah, just to everyone who turned out. It's great to see a great turnout again.
Hey, congratulations on race wins, and thank you very much for joining us for a quick chat.
Thanks, Scott.
Righto, David Haynes is going to be standing alongside P2 from tonight's racing action. It's Adrian Duke.
G'day guys. How's it going?
Good. Third, second. Am I seeing that right? Not a bad round.
Yeah, that's a very good round after I saw the qualifying time. So I was aiming for third. So thanks to Neil for spinning out on the second race. Yeah, and it was so scary watching him in my rearview mirror in that last race. It was like watching the Terminator hunt me down. Yeah, so better result than I expected.
fire up your Jeep, the T-Rex is coming.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it was Code Brown for 7 laps.
3 races in a row, we saw some kind of big incidents with drivers on cold tires. Obviously, there's a grip difference, when they're warm versus when they're cold on those race starts. But what do you feel then, like as a balance difference that made so many people struggle?
Well, particularly this track was pretty low grip, and the first like 2 or 3 laps, the car kind of just wants to turn around and go backwards. But yeah, for me, it was just had to remind myself to be conservative the first couple of laps, and that's how I held it together. Because yeah, every time I pushed in practice on those first few laps, it didn't work. It was either slow or I span out. Yeah, that's all I can say on that one.
Not quite as... Is that advice that you maybe could have given to Luke Sincotta?
I think it is exactly advice I gave to Luke Sincotta, and yeah, he had really good pace. So it was disappointing to see him spin around. On that corner is particularly difficult on the first lap. So yeah, I was hoping for a good team result because he definitely had the pace.
Well, it's always lovely to see you guys so bright and caffeinated, and we'll catch you next time out.
Thanks, David. See ya.
Would you guess that's Neil Gardner?
We'll have a crack and we'll see if it is. Hello, just double checking. Neil Gardner, per any chance?
That is me, yes.
Absolute pleasure to have you in the booth here tonight, Neil Gardner. P3 in the third and final race here tonight, but a second and a third. Race 2 obviously didn't necessarily go your way, but that's the challenge, the reverse grid, isn't it? Just trying to make sure that you survive, get through cold tires. Big old challenge in race number 2.
Race 2, I don't remember race 2. There was a race 1, then I sort of sat out for 25 minutes, and then there was a race 3. Did pretty well in both of those. Don't know what you're talking about, race 2. I got to the top of the hill with a nice empty path on the left and thought, I'm sure those rear tyres have as much grip as they did at the end of the last race.
Mate, the important thing is, obviously you've restarted and got back your way through for race number 3, but the Hornet was certainly looking good and aggressive out on track here tonight. We're actually just saying to Adam, this car and track combination is absolutely perfect for this little car, because normally we cannot place 2 cars side by side at any point around this track. The Skip Barber just allows for that kind of racing, and it's challenging to drive as well.
It is. It's my firm favourite on the entire service, but this track with some really quick people, that first race, I never had a chance to get alongside Adam, even with the draft. But when there's a little bit of a gap between people, then yeah, it encourages some interesting side-by-sides for sure.
Mate, in terms of all 3 races at large, obviously 2 podiums from the 3 races, are you enjoying that reverse grid element? It just spices things up. It forces overtakes. It forces smarter racing in race number 2. And obviously, we won't talk about the mistakes on cold tyres.
Yeah, I love the reverse grid. I, in officials, tend to start near the front, finish near the front. I love driving through. I love having battles and having to pass people and having to think my way through them. So I really enjoyed the opportunity to do the odd reverse grid.
Mate, in terms of the series thus far, how's the challenge been, and confidence levels heading towards the next few rounds as well?
Confidence levels are good, with the exception of one Adam Miles, who is just a little bit too quick in most times. It's quite annoying. But no, I'm really enjoying it. The standard of driving in this league in particular has been really good, I've found in general, certainly at the pointy end. And it's really enjoyable to race a bunch of fast people in the skippies that don't show up in the officials.
Mate, look, I'll keep campaigning to iRacing for success ballast to be added, because I think that would just be one of the things that would just be so awesome to see. But until then, who would you like to give a thank you and a shout out to for the results and getting it done for you here tonight?
Ozicar for putting the series on. The Skippy is a brilliant car. It's my favourite car. It doesn't get enough love, and at the moment there's there's a really good Australian league to race in. Convenient times for me in New Zealand. So thank you very much, gentlemen.
Mate, congratulations on a couple of podiums here tonight, and hopefully P3 overall in the standings might be on its way to you as well. Just having a quick look at the results, it'll be you and Cam Dance will be tight for that one, I think, as well. So congratulations on 2 podiums from 3 races, and we'll see how you go in the round results as well.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
And that next round is going to be in Mexico City for Skip Barber Season 13, Ozicar Season 38, Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Beautiful, beautiful track. It looks great.
Well, I might have to get a registration in before next week. Looking at that one, this wasn't on my calendar to come and do, but it's all of a sudden made its way onto my calendar, I think. So, yeah, that's going to be a really interesting challenge. The long front straightaway in a Skip Barber and the run down to turn 1. That's going to be interesting next week.
I mean, even the stadium looks gorgeous for Skip Barbers. Can't wait. You'll see it here on SimSpeed TV as we draw nearer to a championship decision in Aussie car Skip Barber. David Haynes with Scott Rankin and Jay Kennedy in the production from Sonoma. Get your passport, get your hat, decide what spice of tacos you can handle. We're headed to Mexico.